Welcome to New York City, the place that's got everything, right? This here's Times Square, and in this live stream, we're going to be talking about what are the difference between Tokyo and New York and what it's like for me to be home. Hey everybody, how you doing here? There's Kanai, and we're back in the United States. It's really nice to be here. This is Times Square. As I was saying, I don't know if you can compare the two. It'd be really hard to do. But first of all, I could say that New York City is special and doesn't really represent the United States. However, this place is loud. This place is a lot louder than Tokyo, I think. Maybe it's just because the buildings are taller and it echoes whenever you hear noises. What do you think, Kanai?
Yeah, New York and Tokyo, it's very similar, but different.
Yeah.
It's my opinion.
Yeah, you can't really compare the two. The other thing that's really been tough for me is tipping, right? You can't really, let me see if I get that out the lens. If you were to tip in Japan, you're kind of insulting people a little bit because you're tipping them for something that they would do anyways, meaning like, what is wrong with their service by giving them money? In New York, if you don't tip, people sort of are happy about it, right?
Yeah.
Like at the restaurant, do we tip 15%, 20%? When you live in Japan for a long time, like I have, and if you're coming from Japan like she has, it's hard for you to wrap your head around what is the value of service. Because in Japan, the value of service is all baked into the price. In America, it's totally different. It's like the value of service is what you tip. Let's walk around, kind of. Times Square is not an easy place to walk around holding a selfie camera. So there's that. The tipping is hard. How do you tip, Kanai?
How do I tip?
Yeah.
I check on internet.
So you have to go on the internet and check. This is the way Japanese think. You have to go on the internet to check and say, at this kind of restaurant, what do you normally tip? And then they'll tip whatever they can find and get that information. It's hard to know. Like we get room service in the hotel we're staying in because they have a city tax of $30, and if you don't use your $25 food credit, you lose it. I don't ever order room service. So it was a $22 omelet. With taxes, it came out to $36, which is beyond the $25 budget. It was ridiculous. And then the guy wanted, and then there's a space for tip. It's like, how much do you tip? I don't know. So I gave the guy $2, which is like less than 10%, but then it was like $40 for a $22 omelet on the menu. It's really hard to understand how to tip. So that's the biggest difference. Other differences in the US versus Japan, none of you gotta know.
US versus
The what?
Japan.
Yeah.
People.
That's true.
Because in New York,
Yeah.
people from all over the world, so everybody speak English and other language. But in Japan, we only speak Japanese. But Tokyo is getting changed now to 2020 Olympics, maybe more international.
Right. Yeah. The Tokyo, people don't speak any English here. Everyone speaks English. That's kind of a big deal. And people speak Spanish here in New York. But the thing with Japan, and if we're talking about people, I'm gonna say that American people are friendlier.
I feel.
Yeah. American people are so much friendlier, warmer. Even when we came in through immigration, let's turn around, can I? Even when we came through, and you can see, by the way, a lot of remnants from the New Year's Eve party. It rained and it was kind of a disaster of a party apparently in New York City, but you can still see some of the remnants. You'd never see this in Tokyo. Tokyo would be so much. This thing, like after fireworks displays, there's no trash anywhere. And here in New York City, we have flying debris. It's like, that's another culture shock. Let's go through people, and then we're gonna go through cleanliness. When we came in through immigrations, people were so friendly to Kanai. They were smiling and asking questions. Maybe that's the way to catch you off guard. That's a technique, but people were generally really kind. When you're waiting in line, you can talk to people in the United States and make friends pretty easily. You can't do that in Japan. People.
Yeah, I think, in my opinion, so Japanese are friendly, but we need to take our time a little bit
Yeah.
to be friendship.
To get to know you. It took time for me to get to know her. I'll tell you that right now. We took a lot of time. But people are just different with their personalities. Americans are more open and friendly, and Japanese are more reserved. And it takes a long time to make friends with people, like to really get to know them. Japanese will be friendly at first, but they'll be only friendly on the surface. They won't tell you anything private about themselves. In the U.S., people tell you about their private lives, their politics, their religion in like the first 10 sentences. It's crazy. Just different cultures like this. For me, that's what I miss. One of the things that I miss living in Japan is that people, it takes so much longer to get to know people. And in the United States, it's so much easier to make friends. At least that's my opinion of it. I love seeing people smile. You don't see a lot of smiles in Japan from people, especially on the train in the morning. Well, who smiles like this? But just people are more open to going like this. That's just my take on it. And that sort of changes the way my day goes sometimes. If you see somebody smiling, that's a big difference between the cultures. Cleanliness is a big difference. These are the streets of New York, and as you can tell, it smells like, humanity. I don't know any other way to say this. It smells unique in the city. This American cities are not as clean as Japanese cities, not even close. And the fact that Japan doesn't have any trash cans in the cities outside publicly, and New York does, says a lot about the culture. People will just spit, litter, they throw stuff on the streets. That's New York, right? I guess there's somebody there to clean up for us. Whereas Japan have this kind of personal responsibility where it's their job to clean up what's around them. So even if there's a mess and you didn't do it, not all people, but a lot of people will clean up the mess for them and just try to keep their home clean because that's what you would do, right? That's pretty unique.
Yeah.
I think that's just a very Japanese thing.
Yeah.
One of the things that I miss about Japan is that it's clean and it's non-confrontational. If we go back to people, one of the things that I like and I don't like about Japan is that people mind their own business too. They won't, grab you. And we've been walking around Times Square and we've been grabbed a couple of times by people. Roppongi is a special area, but in general, people are non-confrontational in Japan. That's a Japanese personality. You don't want to start and get involved in a confrontation. In Japan, in America, you're more ambitious, more aggressive, especially in a place like Tokyo. It's especially in Times Square, right? Behind us, you also see people that are homeless. We have homeless in Japan as well. Yeah, but it's a different kind, I think. There's a lot more people with cups asking for money. I don't think panhandling is legal in Japan, but I don't even know if it's legal here. But we've had a lot of people asking us for money. Hey, Tasty Chronicles, Happy New Year, John, and can I grab some coffee and pastries? Yes, we will be doing that. And price is another thing. Come on over here. Price is another thing. If we compare Tokyo and New York, like, daitai ikura karai? Like, can you compare? Kuraberu?
What compare?
Japan and Tokyo's prices.
Prices?
Like, all right, on the surface, prices in New York might seem comparable, but when you add in tip and service charges and all these hidden, I've never seen a city with more hidden fees than New York. It ends up being like 3 times more than Tokyo in many respects. There's just no way around getting, especially in this area where we are, you just get fleeced. They just totally find ways to extract cash from you one way or another. I guess it's different outside in residential areas, and it's probably the same a little bit in Tokyo, but there's no tipping in Japan, so prices are generally cheaper in Tokyo, which might blow some people away. And I'm talking about, in the cities. Now, out in the countryside, away from Tokyo, like we were up in Vermont, the prices are a lot more reasonable, I think.
Yeah.
We got breakfast at a famous waffle and pancake house, and it was about half the price of what we would pay inside Tokyo, and maybe in Japan. But the tip adds 20% to that, so it's just harder just to compare the prices. For goods, for services, the U.S. seems more expensive because of the tipping, but for goods, America is so much cheaper. If we buy a VCR, or what would it be a VCR? I was born in the 80s. If we buy a Blu-ray player here, it's about half the price as the U.S. If I buy an SD card here, it is. And never buy SD cards in Japan, by the way. It's just really expensive. It's about, I don't know, a 128 gigabyte SD card with a 95 megabyte per second read speed is, I have to say that, is $40, $45 in New York. It's $170 in Japan. Like, why? I don't know. They're not counterfeit in the US. It's just maybe the market is different. So you can find prices that are just ridiculous in Japan because of lack of competition. Other than that, there's so many other things. You guys, if you have a question you want to compare.
Performance and show is cheaper here.
That is very true.
For art, it's cheaper here.
Yeah.
Yeah, in Japan, everything expensive of art.
Yeah.
Art.
That's right.
Yeah.
If you go to performance here in Broadway, you can find discount tickets. There's never a discount in Japan.
Yeah, in the kind for students here.
Student discounts.
Yeah, we have a student pass or student discount ticket.
Yeah.
We can show in front of the reception desk, and then we can get discount here.
Right.
Sometimes we can get discount in Japan, but yeah, here it's cheaper.
Yeah, I've noticed that you can get like seats for under $50, especially like last minute seats, even cheaper. Everything's like $100 ichimayen, right?
Yeah, and for example, at
in Tokyo,
MoMA Museum, it's Friday, it's free until 5 August. Yeah, they have a free day for museum. So
we don't have that in Tokyo.
It's good for students. So yeah, we can study about to learn a lot here.
Yeah, I wonder why that is. I don't know. Let's walk this way. It's getting colder if we stand still. I wonder why that is. That's another thing. Japan is. They don't have a lot of discounts for stuff, and that might be changing with the Olympics coming. But I'm going to show you Times Square for a second as we cross the street. But right now, it's just kind of the Japanese way. They don't have a lot of discounts. Although you will find senior citizen discounts, you will find that at movie theaters in certain places. But for museums and stuff, the prices are just expensive. Museums always seems more like a business, and here it seems more like art, like teaching, maybe. The other thing I guess we can compare is cost of technical difficulties here. We're back here. It is a little bit cold. We're back. It is a little bit cold here. The cost of living. So I just wanted to go back over this. Kanai. Hey there. Sorry about that.
I'm back.
So you used to live in New York.
Yeah.
That's where I met her. Tell us a little bit, like, we can stop here in the corner.
Yeah.
Tell us about the price differences. What is it like compared to Tokyo, living in New York?
What?
Like Ikura, like housing, apartment, food,
I see.
living costs.
I was living in Astoria, where it's in Queens.
Queens, yeah.
Queens. So I did home share.
Home share, sharing the room.
Sharing the room. Then my room was very small. Just only room for me. Then we share bathroom and kitchen, and it's about $700
$700
for month.
Wow. That's $700 for sharing the room in Queens.
In Queens, so
Wow. How big
yeah.
how big was the apartment?
Yeah, it's just like gojo.
Like 5 tatami mats? No.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
your room.
Yeah, my room.
So
is
you had your
5
own room.
tatami.
Okay.
Yes.
Wow.
So I heard in Manhattan.
Thanks, Lenny.
Oh,
Sorry.
yeah, in Manhattan, it's more expensive.
Ah.
Yeah, over 10, over 10,000.
Yen.
Yeah,
$10,000? What? I
yeah,
didn't-
for sharing.
Oh wow. Okay. So I think let me see if I could wrap this up here for you about the cost of living. In America, food costs are a lot cheaper. I think groceries, things like this, utilities are cheaper. I believe in the United States. Rent in New York City is always going to be extravagant, but buying a house is so much cheaper in America than buying a house in Japan. Yeah, I looked at the prices. Buying a mansion in Tokyo, an apartment, it can go up to like $2-3 million, and the cheapest ones I could find are like $500,000, which is about gosenmayen, about $500,000, right? That's how much like a normal 2-bedroom apartment in Tokyo would be. In New York, it's just so ridiculously expensive, especially in Manhattan. But if you go out to Queens, you can always find deals. We have a friend who's living in not too far away from where we're staying, and she's got a one bedroom apartment, and she's paying about $1,000 a month. And it's a pretty good location too, but it's an old building. Again, like New York's buildings are a little bit older. Tokyo's are newer because they were constructed after World War II. The vast majority of the city. So I don't know. You get different kinds of deals. For me, I think a day as a tourist, we spend about, if you include the hotel, without the hotel, for food, we're spending about $70 a day between the two of us, and we're eating frugally. All right.
Yeah.
All right. In Tokyo, you can do it for less than that because you have convenience store food, which is really good. Here we have like sandwiches and wraps. In Tokyo, the convenience store food is so good that you could probably use that as lunch or even dinner or breakfast. Just go to a convenience store. We don't have that luxury. The convenience store food here is pretty not good. Colin asks you to do a backflip. Can you dance and well you studied dance here in hold on a second. Yeah. Let me get this back here. Now I get the wide angle lens back on. You studied I studied dance here in New York. So what's the difference between dance in New York and dance in Tokyo? I know you haveなんか意見があるでしょすごい
Yeah.
強くていて
Yeah, in dance class, teachers are very friendly to students, and yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, very friendly, and yeah, students feel more fun. Everybody laughing and clapping, say nice, good.
In the United States,
In the United
there's more
States.
encouragement in the United States. In Japan, it's very
I
stiff.
I only took class in New York. I'm not sure about other states in US, but in Japan, we feel fun, but very more serious. More serious.
That's a great point. It's
I
very
like
much.
it too, actually. But
Sorry for interrupting. Sorry.
Yeah, more serious.
She has a very big opinion on dance because
Yeah.
it does modern contemporary dancing.
Yes.
All right. Anything else? Go on.
Oh, it's okay.
It's okay. This is so true, and she hit the nail on the head. When I went scuba diving in Japan and I went scuba diving in other places in the world where the dive master was American or another nationality, it was so much fun to do scuba diving with non-Japanese instructors. The Japanese instructors are all business. They're so tight and so boring and so serious about safety that it's not a really good experience. And I've seen that through teaching in school, in dance, as she's talking about here. Training and learning and doing things is not often a lot of fun. And tour guides, Japanese tour guides also, lack personality that, not all of them, but in Japanese language, they lack personality, meaning they just want to blend in and be straight. Whereas in outside of Japan, everything has their own personality or originality or feel. Japan is very stiff with that because that shows professionalism, and that's, I don't know, it's just different.
Sometimes it's good point for people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The biggest difference of them all, besides tips, besides standard of living and costs and cleanliness, to me, is the food. The food is so different here. I have put on, I got like 3 chins right now. Even Kanai, which has packed on a couple of pounds, she won't admit it. But actually, she hasn't really gained that much weight at all. It's amazing. She can eat and not gain any weight. And I've got 3-4 chins, and my head size has grown. So, how you doing? So, the food is so much different in the United States than in Japan. Yeah.
Yeah, but I never get homesick in New York.
What?
Because many kinds of Asian food here.
Yeah.
Japanese, Thai, Vietnam, Hungary. So I never get homesick here.
Okay. Yeah, well, there's a Yoshinoya around the corner.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to stop in there, and I'm going to be making an episode on the difference between Yoshinoya in Japan and the United States. There's sushi here, and the sushi is more authentic in New York than probably any other foreign city, except for maybe in California and Hawaii. And it's pretty good, but it's so much more expensive in New York than in Tokyo. But then again, you know, it's just a different... Hey, Ellis is in the house. Thank you. Thank you to Lenny and Tasty and everybody for the super chat. So we'll be putting that towards lunch, which is super expensive here, especially in Times Square. But the food is just more butter, more pizza, lots and lots of cheese. I mean, you've been eating lots of cheese, right?
Yeah.
Lots and lots of
I
cheese.
love cheese a lot.
Yeah, everything has cheese and bread, and it's so good, and you can't just stop. Cakes, pies.
Yeah.
I had tasty cake. It's just like, wow, it's just so much.
Don't eat whole cakes.
I ate a whole cake because I love that butter frosting. We don't have that. They use whipped cream. It's so light, and what a disappointment. Cheesecake and frosting on cakes is so buttery, sugary good here. You have to have it, and this will explain why everything is starting to sag, and this is, thank you. I love America. We ate a lot of cake. My brother Neil can attest to that. I ate my weight in cake. Oh, check it out, guys. Taking a picture in the middle of the road. Probably not a good idea, dude. But it seems to be okay. It seems to be okay. We feel safe. I feel very safe in New York. I feel very safe here. Yeah, the food is totally different. And I have to tell you that whenever I come here, and you do it too, a little bit, not as much. We try to eat as much as we can because we know we're not going to be back in America for a while. So we just eat because we don't know when the next time we're going to be eating this delicious food again is. It's delicious to me. I got no problem having 3 chins until I get back to Japan, and then and that's maybe the last thing. Maybe people are just bigger in the United States. The cups are bigger. Everything is bigger. We mentioned like the seats are bigger. To sit in, the cup holders were huge.
Yeah, in Starbucks we have a small size.
Yeah, Starbucks says.
Yeah.
There's in America.
Only in Japan, right?
I think so. There's a tall, grande, and venti size, and those are the 3 sizes in New York. In Japan, we have a short size.
Yes,
some places
short.
still have it. Some places still have it, but generally speaking, yeah, the sizes are just massive, and the plate sizes, the portion sizes on food is huge. Let's move on. Let's move on over towards this way, so you get a different view. Last night we ate so much food. Our friend ate so much food that we had a doggy bag.
Yeah.
We call them doggy bags. You can take them home. Stop smiling as you mentioned cheese and butter, John. It's hard not to. What am I gonna do without my cheese and butter and bread? In Japan, we still got it, but it's not the same. They don't put enough on. Yeah, you can't take your food home in Japan.
Yeah.
So if you eat too much or too little, you can't take it home. Why? Why don't they have doggy bags in Japan?
Oh, because if someone gets sick after back to home.
Yeah.
So they the shop cannot get can.
I know.
Sorry.
I think you don't. Typically, Japanese people. All right, I'm gonna answer for you.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
so
yeah,
stay
yeah.
there for a second. I'll answer for you. You can nod and tell me if I'm wrong. In general, Japanese people don't order more than they need. If you go to a buffet, they won't make a mountain like I do. I used to do that. I make like the buffet mountain. I take everything because you can always go back. Japanese don't waste, so they take less than they need because they know they'll be going back. So at restaurants, the portion sizes are usually what exactly people can eat. I've never had too much food in Japan. In fact, at first it was too small, but that's the reason why, and that's the reason nobody ever asked that. We just don't have a culture of taking the food home, right? Okay. And it's not sanitary. You're welcome. You're welcome. And it's not sanitary. Maybe. All right, let's walk back towards the hotel now. So that's Times Square. Times Square is like Shibuya, Hachiko, and Shinjuku all wrapped into one. Times Square is just incredibly bright and vibrant. And we'll be doing a meetup here tonight at 7:30 p.m. in front of the Michael Cohen statue. So check out the information on Facebook events. That'll start at 7:30 till about 8:30, I would say. But probably it's going to go a little bit longer. The meetups always go a little bit longer. America is just, for me, this is my home. And this is what I want to wrap up this live stream. America is my home. This is a place that I truly do miss when I'm away. There's so many great things about it, but there's so many great things about Japan too. And the good thing about my experience being an expat living in both of these countries for half my life, the first half in the US, the second half in Japan, is that I've taken away a lot of the good things that Japan has to offer and a lot of the good things from the US has to offer. And that just makes like a really amazing experience. And a little bit of that stuff we talked about in this live stream, but all in all, like, I've had a pretty incredible life between the two countries, and coming back here is just, it's always such a treat. I guess not just to see family, but also to eat and to be in the middle of all this. It's just so vibrant and there's so much energy in New York. That's another thing that I love about coming back home. And you always have to stop in New York if you're on the East Coast. Boston's pretty nice too, but I've never been there. Yeah, that's about it. All right, there's one more thing I have to tell you. I don't know if I could say with Kanai here. All right, I guess I can. Coming to New York every time is a culture shock for me, all right? Because I'm not used to the way everybody, it's just the way that the city moves it makes me uncomfortable in a way because I'm not used to the way, used to the way that Tokyo moves. People line up in the escalators, people are so orderly lining up in a certain way. I'm used to that so much so when I come back here, I don't know, at first I'm somewhat uncomfortable by the chaos of it all. And gradually we get back into, it's a little bit cold here. Yeah. We get used to it again. It takes a little bit, but the first time we arrived in New York, just people were bumping into you. If you stop suddenly, people get angry. They show their emotions more. These are things that kind of shocked me. But after a day, I'm back to the way, back to my Americanism a little bit more. But at first, it's always kind of a culture shock because I'm more right now used to the way Japan is than the United States. I don't know. Am I more American or Japanese? Or what?
Yeah, in Japan, sometimes I forgot about John is American.
What? So, we speak Japanese in Tokyo. We speak Japanese only, and in the United States, we've been trying to speak more English. At least Kanai has.
Yeah. Then when we back to US,
yeah.
I realized, oh, John is American. So
yeah,
like this.
That's true. And then another thing is, I think but eating all of the American food too, your body smells a little bit different, no? Karada.
Really?
I think so.
Oh.
I think the foods are different. I eat more vegetables, I think, in Japan. I don't know why. Maybe it's just because I'm addicted to the cheese and the breads and all the bad stuff here because I eat as much as I can. But in Japan, we eat more vegetables, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah.
Just the diet is different.
I made big rice, a big salad.
Big salads and, rices and less meat. Here it's meat and bread and cheese. Stop it, John. I'm getting hungry again.
Yeah.
All right, guys, that's it. Thanks so much. We're gonna be doing a meetup at 7:30, and I'm gonna be live streaming that. So you want to tune in 7:30 Eastern Standard Time. It's probably gonna start around 7:45 the live stream. We're gonna go to lunch now. It's lunchtime. I hope you have a wonderful day, wonderful night, wherever you are in the world. Thanks so much, everybody, and see you. This is the first live stream of the Happy New Year. Happy 2019, by the way.
Happy New Year. 明けましておめでとうございます。
明けましておめでとうございます。今年もよろしくお願いします。Right? Yes. Wonderful. All right, guys. See you next time. Hey, Mark Mendoza, have a great trip and eat well. Thank you. Happy New Year's to you too. Enjoy it. Don't worry about the fourth chin. I think you just saw the fourth chin, Mark. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much, very much for that. And we'll see you tonight in about 8 hours from now. Bye.
See you then.
Meetups on Times Square and behind the Michael Cohen statue in the center of the square.